to the Concert Queen Connect. This is the first episode of 2021, and I'm kicking it off proper with Miss VibeWithAde. Say hi.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. For those of you that maybe live under a rock in Austin or just in the festival world, VibeWithAde, or as your friends call you, Ade, right? And then you said your family calls you Adriana or Adriana. They say
Adriana.
Adriana, so pretty. So she and I connected, and she is really big into music festivals. She runs a very successful music blog called VibeWithAde, a podcast, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube channel. Am I missing what everything? She basically does. She's like who I want to be when I grow up, essentially. It's like, even though she calls me her mom, but I'm more like the crazy aunt. So, but we'll talk about that later. But welcome. How are you doing?
Doing good. First couple of days of 2021 are settling in. We're doing good. Just kind of getting ready to get the year started and everything.
So what does that look like for you as far as like when you say getting the year started, and then let's take it back to like you just getting started, period. How did VibeWithAde come to be?
Yeah, so I moved to Austin in 2017. I had just graduated from Arizona State with a degree in marketing, and then a job brought me out into Austin, working at a digital marketing agency, and then I had all this free time. VibeWithAde was like a thought in the back of my head because I had attended Coachella, EDC, and I'm the big planner type, so I just like want to know what to expect. What am I getting myself into? And so I decided to start a blog to fill that need of people that are also like me, to provide tips, how-tos, what to expect. Even the websites that you would look at, they didn't even have that much detail in them. So I really wanted to get into like the nitty-gritty stuff that like you would have to know if you went to that festival, just so I could help other people plan for those festivals. So started a website in 2017, September 2017, I launched my first blog post. And then started dabbling with YouTube a little bit. When I went to ACL, I had like a GoPro. So I just like took some shots of and made like a cute little recap video to music. And then kind of just grown it from there. I went full in on YouTube in 2018.
Wow.
March, I want to say. And that was like festival vlogs, how-to videos, everything like that. And so we've been going it'll be 4 years this year, which is kind of crazy to think about. Even hitting 3 years, I was like, that's crazy. But mainly just specializing in how to prepare for festivals, what to wear. My main festivals I usually talk about are like Electric Forest, EDC, Austin City Limits, a lot of the Texas ones like Freaky Deaky, Ubby Dubby. And then I talk a lot more about like my mental health. I talk more about what it's like being a creator, what it's like being in Austin and being in the community here as well. So we've kind of dispersed out from festival content, but that's mainly what we started with.
Yeah. So when you say we, are there more, do you have people helping you?
No, I just kind of like said that.
Oh, I was like, damn girl. I was like, okay. So she's got this team around her.
The community, we mainly started out with that.
I love that. And so for those of you, like I said, if you've been following her, then you would know like you are just super supportive, super all about helping people. And that's one of the things, like, I think when you and I first connected, and I think I like had you on my stories or something, and my Fire Festival, like my Fire Festy bestie, as I call her, Nicole, she immediately was like, oh my God, and started like fangirling over you. She's like, you're with VibeWithAde right now? Oh my God, like just started freaking. And I'd never seen her like react like that, you know, because you and I were friends and just like hanging out. And I was like, oh shit, like, okay, this is really, really cool to meet someone else, because there's not, like, you and I bounce a lot of stuff off of each other. There's not a lot of people in our space that are females, you know, that are doing festivals and concerts and events and things like that, especially here. I mean, we're kind of like in the mecca of it in Austin. I think with you've done such an amazing job of like not being just central here, but like your content is so like anyone can watch it from anywhere and be connected to it. Like you said, there's so much to unpack, and like all the stuff that you were saying that I definitely want to talk about. And first and foremost, I think you and I, if we ever went to a festival together, I can't even imagine, because you are a planner and I am like the opposite of a planner. Like literally fly by the seat of my pants, don't know where I'm going to be. And I've gotten myself into some crazy situations. So can you tell me about a time where you like you had to just kind of like weren't plan, like you did plan something just completely threw you off. And it was just like, oh my God, this is not what I planned for at all.
I'm trying to think. Me and my friends have only had, I think, one debacle, I would say. And that was Imagine Music Festival 2019. It
was in Atlanta, right? I think.
Yeah, that's in Atlanta. It's EDM. And this was my first content exchange for a ticket. So I posted Instagram posts, got an exchange for a ticket. So that was a really big deal for me, because most of the time I either have to sell like tickets through a code or do a press pass, something like that. So this was my first festival getting it through my content on Instagram. And so the first day we got there, and it was kind of like they don't have their things kind of figured out. Like they just didn't have a system in place. Things weren't really figured out.
Yeah.
And so we got there at a certain point. We had to go to the ticketing booth or whatever. We went to the ticketing booth. They sent us somewhere else to go get a ticket. We had to walk all the way around. It's at a speedway. So we had to walk all the way around a speedway to get to some other office. They were completely disorganized in getting us our tickets, but it was like a free ticket. So I felt like I couldn't really complain.
Right.
But we were also kind of like, this is really sketchy. So like, did we get our tickets? Did we not get our tickets? Like, do we even have tickets? Luckily, we waited and we eventually got our ticket. But he also said that we had to make like some type of donation for something. He was like, oh, you guys also have to, because you're getting.
Who's he? Is this like a promoter or something like that?
Yeah, but they were, I think the artists and like people on the artist guest list had to make a donation, but they confused us for that. So then we had to make a donation, and we ended up getting refunded for it. Not that I wasn't willing to make a donation to something, but I was kind of like, this wasn't in our terms. And that was the only thing that comes to mind, really. Yeah. When something didn't go to plan. I think the other one that comes to mind is like weather, when unexpected weather things happen at festivals, like Electric Forest 2018 weekend 2, there was an unexpected thunderstorm on the last day, and we had to evacuate and then eventually come back. But it didn't last too long, but that was the only time we're like, okay. And they had to push back times on some of the artists. So there were some artists that didn't even get to play, which was really sad.
Yeah.
And luckily our tent and everything was still intact and everything. So didn't have to worry about that. But I feel like it's always weather. Yeah. Can be some dicey situations.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned weather and like Coachella. I think my very first, or maybe it was I've been to Coachella like 7 times. And the first year, I think it was either the first or second year, there was this really bad sandstorm. So that was where like everyone started wearing the bandana. You already wore your bandana. So that was like the number one thing I think I even like took from that. Like you said, was like, you have to like literally, because there wasn't any like blogs or things that, I was trying to find out, and you kind of are just like flying by the seat of your pants. And I remember like going to Coachella and there was this crazy windstorm and our tent like flew off somewhere, and we ended up sleeping in the back of my friend's car, and it was crazy. But it's also like, those are the things too, I know for me, that kind of like fuel. I don't know. I guess I like kind of live for the chaos almost sometimes, because it's like, maybe that's why. Like I just don't. I've never been a planner. I respect people, and I totally see the value. Like I love hanging out with people like you, because I'm like, I can just, and you need people like me that just go with the flow. Because if you get two planners, then you're both trying to like, out plan each other. If you get and I hang out with people, I call them heaters and coolers. So if you get too many heaters together, you basically don't end up going to bed at all, and it's mass chaos. So I have a lot of heater friends, and I have really, like, I'd say my best friends, it's funny, like opposites attract, or like my cooler friends, like the ones that are like, hey, maybe we shouldn't like go jump in that bouncy house that's like roped off, and just weird stuff like that. But I think there's always like that awesome balance. Do you have like a festy bestie friend that you travel to all these with, or you kind of just going with different groups of friends?
Yeah, I go with different groups of friends. So my initial group of friends that I was going to festivals with was in college. And so some of them still go to festivals, some of them don't. So it really just depends on which ones they want to go to. I'm definitely happy when they can go to events. So we try and plan out 1 or 2 out of the year. Like last year we went to Lollapalooza together. We all planned for that the year before. They came and visited me for ACL. So I still stay in touch with them. And I think next year or whenever it does happen, we'll do Coachella. We all decided. And then I have like another core group of friends that I went to a lot of the 2019 festivals with, like Dirty Bird Campout, Electric Forest. Some of them came and visited me for Seismic. So I have like little pockets of groups that I go with.
Yeah.
And then I did have like a significant other that I went to with a lot of festivals.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're broken up, but that would be like another person that I would take with me, is either that, or if there was someone that was in town in Austin, be like, oh, do you want to go? Like I have a free ticket. Yeah. So it usually just depends. It's kind of nice just to have a rotation of people.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. I think the first time that I'm trying to think, like when you and I first met, we met at that like Verizon Fest or that Verizon event.
Yeah, I was trying to tell my current boyfriend when that was it 2018 or 2019? I think
it was definitely 20. I had like just maybe 2018. So I did this.
It was because then you went to the same Holy Shit.
Yeah. So that was about 2 years ago. So I had done this like Verizon creator event, and you were so gracious to come and support me, not even knowing me, which was just another testament to like, she's already doing all these things and I'm just like getting started, and luckily got, picked out by Verizon to do this. But like, that was just, that really meant a lot to me. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Like people don't understand like all the work and the stuff that we do. Like when people support it, even just like, like I said, to actually physically show up to an event now, especially when I know you have a bunch of fans and a bunch of followers that just adore you. But like for me, that just means the most, especially like I'll never forget that. Like I said, because you came up to me and we took a picture together, which I'll probably post in this podcast. But it's those moments where I feel like your real friends are you're like, wow, okay. Like you see what I'm spending, and I'm not getting paid for this yet, but it's one of those things where you hope to get paid, or you hope to do things that support your, like, this is your passion, this is your love. And it's like when there's people around you that aren't, and like they're supposed to be like your number one homies, and they don't share your stuff, or they don't, and I don't think there's that expectation. I don't know. Do you ever have that kind of like, are you kind of just at peace with it? I know, like I said, for me, I'm kind of just like, well, you know what? Like, let them do them. But it's always funny when there comes a time when they need something, or something comes around and you're like, well, where have you been? Like now that you need something from me. So I don't know. COVID for me has been like very telling of that. I feel like with friends and like what really matters with people and who's going to have your back.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, when it comes to friends supporting me, like I know for a lot of my friends, like they're not necessarily my audience. So there's
interesting.
Really no hurt feelings sometimes. Unless like I personally message them, like this is something I really want to get out. Like when I think with my mixes, like that stuff I want to get out just because like that's something exciting for me. And most of the time it's just like, I just want them to listen to it. I don't even care if they share it. Like, it's just like something that I want to share with them.
Yeah.
But there's usually no hurt feelings with that. But I've been trying to be very careful as well about who I do let into the circle sometimes with myself. And I get very on guard. Not that I have a super huge platform, but I am very lucky with the circle that I do have, where I don't feel that feelings that you're describing.
Yeah.
So I feel lucky in that sense. And I feel very guarded to not let anyone in, because I can kind of tell when people are like trying to get something out of me, or like, I can kind of just sense that, that it's not going to be a mutual beneficial kind of interaction, that all of a sudden they're just popping out and wanting to hang out and all this stuff. And especially with COVID, I'm like, I don't really want to see anyone in person.
Yeah, which is why like she lives here in Austin and we're doing this virtually just for that. Yeah. I mean, that's another testament to that. So
Yeah. So I feel like as you kind of become more into the creator space and you get more and more followers and more of a platform, like more and more people are going to come, and you just kind of have to stick with your gut on that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. And I definitely think like in that I had like, I think I learned like a year ago, cause that was where I said yes. And they're like originally, cause it's like you're growing, you're building your platform, you know, and you're trying to get out there and you're trying to do a lot. And then you get to the point where you get to start saying, you have to start saying no. Cause it's like, no, that's actually like my time now is quantifiable. And I think like you said, the biggest thing of being a creator is now it's like, where is my time best spent? Where is that going to be? And I think that's like always the advice that I give. And probably some of the best advice that I think I ever got was you get these people, and I'm sure, you know, random people. And this is advice to anyone who is trying to be like Ade or even remotely interested in like the creator space, is it's about support first. And it's like, how can I support this person? What is it that's going to benefit them that I can do for them? If it's sharing their content, at least you get on someone's radar. I mean, just to at least share their content and share what they're doing. You know, if there's some conflicts there, personally, if you have something else, like I understand that, but I agree with you. I think with the whole, yeah. And it's interesting that you said you have like this group of friends that you're like, they're not really my audience. And like with me, and maybe just cause since I've been here, the group of friends I'm with, like, you know, I live with Steve. Steve is a photographer and videographer, badass videographer. In Austin. So it's like, I'm constantly around all these people that are in this space, which I don't even know if that's healthy, but it's also like, hey, you know, you always kind of know where everyone is, what everyone's doing. And that's kind of what fuels our soul in that sense. But that's nice that you have like a group to kind of escape to as well. That's not in this space that you can probably just relax and wind down with.
Yeah. And they're really supportive still, because they like, even though they don't really get it, they're just like, I love that outfit you wore. Like you killed it in that, or like whatever.
That's so
like
awesome.
They'll give me a lot of hype for sure. And it definitely feels good. Like it's just, they're not the type that's going to be like sharing, or like they might comment every now and then, but like, it doesn't bother me. Like my feelings don't really get hurt.
Yeah.
Because they're not the core like people that I'm trying to advertise to. Like I'm just trying to advertise to other festival goers or like other newer people to the community and that kind of stuff too.
Totally makes sense. Yeah, that's like, now that as you're talking about, that's describing like all my Dallas friends. I have like a Dallas past life where all those friends are married with kids now, and they're all beautiful babies and they're all moms, and it's great. But it's like, I personally don't connect with that. And I get it. They same thing. They don't really see it with me, and we're both kind of living different lives, but they're still there. Like I would still, if I saw them, same kind of thing, would have a blast. Maybe it's just because being here in Austin is just so different in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But with you and all these different platforms that you have, like how do you even, and I'm talking like she's DJing now. It's like, what does she not do? Like if there's a box, like she's going to find it and she's going to check it off. Like I DJ'd for that, like our campaign that you and I, for our Bud Light thing. And I got so many DMs of people being like, okay, when are you actually DJing? And I'm like, I'm not. Like that was hard. So how did you like, what is it like that just fuels you when you're doing all this different type of content?
I think it's just always a need to release some type of creative outlet, creative energy or something. And like, I am the type that like, when I pick something up, I really want to learn it. And then like, I try and figure out a way to keep it in my life. Unless I don't like it, then it's gone. Like we tried it, it's done.
Oh, really? What's been something that you were like, nope, moving on?
Well, like sports. Like
really?
I was not an athlete in high school or middle school. Like my parents were both varsity athletes. I tried it, did not like it.
You look like an athlete. Like you look like, no?
I tried that, but yeah. So then like with DJing and like also like shuffling. I really do like, I think it's just another creative outlet for me to do, because I was reading, I do a survey at the end of the year just to like get feedback from my followers, kind of look at what other content I could be doing and stuff like that. And I was reading through all the responses and I was like, it's kind of crazy that like each response has something kind of different in it. Like a response was like DJing. They want to see more DJing stuff. They want to see more shuffling stuff. The next one's like health and fitness. The next one's like mental health. It's just like,
wow,
it's kind of crazy that like people come to me for all sorts of these different things, but I just get, I don't know, I get creative energy and I just want to put it somewhere. And so sometimes I'll dedicate it to like doing a shuffle challenge for a month or DJing. Like my boyfriend and I, we DJ'd a lot through quarantine just because we had nothing else to do on Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
And then I just try and have to balance that and figure out like, okay, I want to keep doing this and then try and carve out the time, so little time I have to dedicate to it, which is hard, but it's definitely gotten better at time management and prioritization a lot.
Is that what you'd say? Because I mean, and that's something that I struggle with. Like I get into these modes, you know, I do have ADD. So for me, it's like, I have to really work hard to focus. And like for you, like what advice would you give to someone who is kind of like scattered, or they're trying to figure out like what they should be doing and what they should be focusing on? Like, how do you kind of prioritize and time manage that?
Yeah. So I always tell my followers, and I always tell other people that are really trying to figure out what they should be doing or what they want to be doing. I always start with the why. So what's your why? What drives you? What wakes you up in the morning? What gets you excited? And that's what made me start VibeWithAde. Like I just wanted to help people with music festivals. And so that's kind of, that led me to start the blog and then do all the content with it and learning more about YouTube and learning more about things, because that ultimately goes up to the why, you know?
Got it.
And so same thing with like, as I developed into like music, mental health and all that stuff, that helps my followers in their day-to-day life get better outside of the festivals and stuff like that. So I always tell people to start with that why, because it will help you figure out, you know, the next steps. Like, okay, this is my why. How can I get there? And if you have a hard time figuring out your why, you usually can do like an exercise of like, what is like the ultimate goal? And then you figure out why. And then if you just keep on writing why and then a reason why and then a reason, you kind of get to it. If you have a hard time with that. But that's a really good kind of exercise to get you into like your purpose and what is that thing that motivates you. And then from there, you figure out how you can prioritize it. So I still work a 9 to 5, and then I'm creating all this content after work, or editing the content after work, or I'm doing it on the weekend. And when you really do love something and you're passionate about it, like you'll make the time for it. So
totally.
I don't really watch like a whole lot of Netflix when I get off work. I just go to work. I'm doing this with Carissa right now. You know, I really, my Google Calendar is like my best friend. So you really have to figure out those systems to keep you in place, of whether it's a planner or a Google Calendar or to-do list or something like that. So you can just try and make time for it as best as you can. But you can always start out small. Like I didn't start out doing as much content as I do now.
Yeah.
Like I think before I was doing one blog post a week maybe, and then a YouTube video like every other week. And then now I do like YouTube every week and then social posts like literally every day.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So stuff like that. So you can definitely build up to it with anything. And that goes for anything, not just content creating.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I definitely noticed like a shift in your, like you said, like you're posting and doing that. Cause I mean, I'm primarily on Instagram. That's like where kind of my bread and butter, but it's just, I see you on like, you know, Steve is like obsessed with Twitter and is like trying to get me to be more active on Twitter. And that's just like, oh my God, it's like another thing I'd have to like watch out for. And I look on there and Ade's, you know, just retweeting this. I just am like, oh my God, like how, I feel like if I turned around, like right now, you'd pop up right there. Like you're just like everywhere. And I admire that so much, because like I said, for me, I get so overwhelmed by all those things, and I have to really like hone in on something and kind of just roll with it, which is like what I did with Instagram, you know?
Yeah. And that's sometimes what you have to do is like, I figured I added those different platforms on over time because I saw that my content could fit there and I wanted to learn more about it. So why not? But most people just either stick to having a website, or they stick to just having a YouTube, or they just stick to having an Instagram. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because that's also where your people might be. So you really want to just be where the people are.
Right.
And meet them there. And I think especially like the Austin music community is huge on Instagram. So like definitely is beneficial.
Yeah. Which would you say, do you have a favorite that you kind of lean towards, or? Right
now I'm loving TikTok.
Really?
I am like obsessed with TikTok. I love it so much. The algorithm is really great. I like its features. The content is really great, depending on, once you like get into TikTok and you start going through your For You page and stuff, it'll start recommending stuff that you're interested in. But I really get inspired by TikTok. It's just like a different platform, and I learn so much, I feel like, on it. So that's one I really like right now. Instagram I don't love, and you could probably know why, because like of all the algorithm stuff and just like new features all the time. Like, I don't know if you know this, Carissa, but I still don't know. I still don't have the new Instagram story fonts for some reason.
Really?
I think I'm on some shit list or something. Sorry, can I cuss?
Of course you can cuss. Okay, this is a safe space. Safe space. That's so funny. Do you really?
Yeah.
And you've done updates on your phone, or you've done everything?
I've done everything.
Damn. Can you still see likes?
I can still see likes, and then like they keep on rolling out like different features, but like I don't have the Instagram story fonts, and then I can't do reels longer than 15 seconds, which I know they're slowly rolling that out. But
yeah. See, and I have them for like, what is it, like 30 seconds? But I'm like, cool, like nice feature for me to have. But TikTok is one of those things, and you as an expert, since this is like your jam, it's so for me, and even looking during quarantine, there are people that just like blew up overnight, like going viral. Have any of your videos just completely gone viral that you're like, oh my God?
I think the most views I've gotten so far is like over 100K on one video. That one did really well. And it's always the ones that didn't take much effort that do really well.
Of course it is, you know?
That one did kind of take a little bit of work. It was just like a transformation one. That was like to some SpongeBob audio or something. I was like so surprised that one blew up.
That's so funny.
But it does happen for a lot of people. Like a lot of people just post one TikTok and that just has the chance to go viral. It just depends on the type of content, and if it's like funny or entertaining, or it makes people stop and watch or whatever. But I think TikTok is really great in that sense, and the algorithm's really favorable. Just awesome. Because it really is based on the content. Like you can really try and post it at the right time and do the hashtags and all that stuff, but like it really is about the content and if it's engaging to people.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool.
Do you have to line up like hashtags? Like how does it know like what you're doing just with people and I guess I'm still, so anyone who's new to TikTok, if you want to join TikTok with me and get on that bandwagon, we're going to follow. Ade's going to turn us into TikTok stars. So, yeah. But what is it like? What would you say? Like, do you have to do the hashtags? Like, what's the whole thing for you on there?
Yeah. So, it's similar to like Instagram. You have to have a niche, and then you have to have content associated with that. And so,
which yours is super entertaining.
And
love
they
yours.
recommend hashtags around 4 to 5.
Yeah.
A lot of people do hashtag FYP, hashtag For You page, because they're hoping that gets on the For You page. That doesn't necessarily help. So you want to do like relevant hashtags. Similar to like an Instagram post. So like anything that's relevant to yours. A lot of time for me, it's like hashtag EDM, hashtag music festivals, hashtag raves, hashtag EDM TikTok is what they're calling it. And then you can do content from 15 to 60 seconds. A lot of the times they recommend doing 2 types of content, and one of them's like more branded type content, your own personal content, that kind of stuff. And then the other one is like viral content. So following trends and trying to apply it to your niche. So there's usually like trending sounds or trends that people are doing, like dances. Even if you don't want to dance, you could always use that audio and just like point to information and stuff is what I tell people. Or you can attempt to dance and have a good time trying to do it. I think they're fun sometimes to do.
Yeah. No, yours is amazing. Like that's probably my favorite content. You just crush absolutely crush. And we'll have all the links and all the good stuff. But like, yeah, I mostly watch you on Reels, obviously, because I'm on Instagram, but like you just do super creative content on there. I'm like, God, how does she think of all these things? It's like, it's amazing. So yeah, I'm having a fangirl moment because I really, truly do admire like your commitment and your work ethic to your craft and what you do. And, you know, want to help support you. And even though you don't need it, you got your own trajectory, which is a rocket right now. But yeah, I just love, and I think you kind of see that for me. Like, I love that that's like your why, is that you're like, you want to help people. You want to get people, you know, for me, I think it's definitely like, I love music, but I tend sometimes, and that's what I like this quarantine, I don't think could have happened it almost needed to happen. Who knows? God only knows what would have happened to me at South by. I think last year, I went out, there was like, I don't know, 12, 13 days. And I think I went out 11 of the days and it was nuts. And that's not healthy. I'm not saying I'm not proud of this. I don't think it's something, but I'm just like, I'm telling you, when it comes to like not planning, it's like a not planner's dream. Because you can wander into a random, you were going to do South by. This is going to be your first South by.
Yeah, this would have been my first South by. So definitely on my list to still do. I feel like I'm missing out on an opportunity here, not doing it, especially being in Austin.
Yeah. And I think too, with you being a planner, there's going to be things that you can't plan for that you just have to like,
yeah.
And that's where I think with that and just like who you run into and what you see. And I guess I'm also kind of used to just like rolling solo to a lot of stuff. Like I know you said earlier, like you have like these +1s and like I used to buy, that was the whole thing. And that's why I started, you know, ATX Concert Queen, was because I got tired of paying for tickets. And I just was like always spending tickets. And sometimes I couldn't find because I'm not a planner. So I'd end up like asking a friend like the night before and I'd be like, oh, shoot, I forgot I had these tickets. Like, do you want to go with me to this? You know, and they're like, no, like I can't, I already have some. So then I would end up just going by myself, you know? And I think that that's what literally got me to go to Fire Festival by myself, which was not, but I went with that group, but I actually did Outside Lands by myself where I had a friend, and have you been to that one in San Francisco?
No, I haven't.
So I want to trade stories about that because my friend was like, oh, that reminds me just like the forest, kind of like Electric Forest. And that's like one that I've never done. But San Francisco, like I went, and that was one of the things where it's just a different experience. Obviously to me, I feel like festivals are meant to be with friends and meant to be with people and being with one another. But there was something kind of serene about not having to worry about anybody else. And I'm like, I want to go and like wander off to this random hippie flower crown making station, like put random things in my hair. Like, oh, hey, I'm chilling with some rain. And that's another thing too, with people at festivals anyway, as you know, like they're the happiest people in the world. Like if you see someone pissed off at a music festival, I'm like, who hurt you? Like, what is wrong in your life that you're sad, unless it's like a break. I've seen that too, you know? But yeah, I think music festivals are a place where you can go by yourself. And I did 1 or 2 days, I don't remember, by myself. Some random stranger gave me a bouquet of flowers, like just was like, here you go. You look like you could use these. And I was like, thanks, cool, and like walked away. It was just it was such a weird, it was like probably the most perfect solo experience I could have had. I touched Janet Jackson's hand, like when I got to get, because it was just me solo, so I got to get like right up close for Janet Jackson. So there was all those like little nuances that I was like, damn, this is kind of nice. But then you're like looking around at all the people with their friends and you're like, ooh, okay, I wish I had that, or I wish I was with friends and wish I was with people. So I love that you do that. And you said also like you've gone to festivals with a significant other. So is that like, do you have a preference on, or is it just all the experience is kind of the same to you?
So I actually have gone alone, so I can
awesome.
say that that's really fun.
Yeah.
Not having to worry about other people. My first couple of events in Austin, I went to an ACL weekend 2 alone.
Did you really?
I went to Something Wicked alone, and then I went to a couple Austin shows alone when I first moved here.
Yeah.
And I agree. It's just fun not having to worry about other people.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to have a balance between like having some solo stuff and then like having stuff with friends, and then significant other. After going to so many with a significant other, I loved it, but then now being out of it, I do take a step back and being like, that partner definitely limited me a little bit in terms of like, oh, like, let's go see a different set, or like, let's go, let's leave early so we don't miss traffic. Like, was a little bit too responsible, I'd say. That's just maybe me.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Him and I would not have gotten along. Like, no, sir.
Yeah. So I've definitely learned from that in terms of like being more vocal, like, no, like, I want to go see this set. I'll see you later, or something like that. Or just like not putting up with like bullshit in the middle of the festival.
Yeah. Well, especially too, like you said, being able to be like, I'm going to go here. Like, we don't have to do everything together. I think I'm still like, I've had friends or like people that I meet too, and they want to, I'm totally fine too. I'm like, I'm good. Like, for me, it's like always number one, like the artist, like that's who I'm going to see. It's so funny. I was talking to, it's funny too, how those people will like change your perspective and change you. Do you know Porky from Desert Heart? So he was here on New Year's Eve, and I was talking to him about like what inspired him when he was talking about music. And he went to his brother, took him to Coachella for the first time. And he was so stoked to see Depeche Mode. Like, that was who he was there to see, like, for the whole weekend. Yeah. That's who he was excited. That's who he was like set up for. And his brother's like, we got to go. There's a surprise Daft Punk set that we have to go see. And, and he was like, I really want to see Depeche Mode. Like, that's what I want to see. But he ended up going. And I mean, that set has been like one of the most talked about sets of all time. And it ultimately just changed his life, So I think, like you said, there's definitely a testament to being like, okay, cool, I'll go with the flow. I'll do this. But then also like, having your artists and having those people that you want to see.
Yeah, I think 2020 taught me that I'm definitely going to be a little bit more go with the flow with festival planning and just like sets and stuff. So we'll definitely see how it turns out. Especially because we don't know when festivals are going to happen. So I'm just kind of like, I have tickets to stuff, but like other stuff I'm not really planning on. I might be a late sender, which is weird for me, but like
late sender. A late sender, what does that mean?
Like, kind of like what you were talking about, like how you'll get a ticket the last day.
Oh, got it.
Or like the day before or something. Like, I'll just be a late sender, like to whatever festival.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to have normally, like going into a year, if you ask me, Adriana, what's your festival schedule? Or Aid, what's your festival schedule? I would be able to fully tell you, I'm going to this. Like,
I love it.
And this year, I'm like, well, I have tickets to Coachella. I have tickets to Electric Forest. Whenever those happen, catch me there. Otherwise, I have no idea. Yeah.
Which is wild. I remember because I think you even listed them out, and I was so impressed too. Because I'm fly by the seat of my pants. I'm like, okay, this sounds cool. I'll go do that. We were supposed to go. How did you, so being such a planner, and now that when you and I, because we were on Holy Ship at the same exact time. I remember that moment, because did we know? I don't know if we knew. I think maybe we found out like maybe a week before or something. We're like, oh, I'll see you at Holy Ship. I remember like opening set, like Fisher's playing, and I turn and I look at you, and just like I could not have seen a more happier Aid, like in that element of like, it was just, that was really, really cool to see you. But that particular, and maybe you can be a planner in that. I, for one, don't see it. So tell me how, like something like that is so just like all over the place, and there's so many things happening at all the time. For those who are not familiar with Holy Ship, it is just this cruise ship that takes you out and you're on in the middle of the water, but there's these rooms that just have like, there's pop-ups, there's DJs and playing in casinos and DJs popping up and playing. You always have like, there's always something going on, and then they have like a disco nap time. But for me, it's like the prime real estate for someone who's a wanderer and just wants to go with the flow. But like for someone who's a planner, tell me about that and how like your experience was with Holy Ship.
So I think Holy Ship, I had a plan. I had an idea of like the artist I wanted to see, but then I just also was a wanderer too, because I was also kind of a late sender to that one. So I didn't know I was going to Holy Ship until November.
Oh, wow.
Like 2 months before Holy Ship. And people booked that out like in May the year before.
Yeah, that was something we definitely booked in advance.
I had a friend from college. She DM'd me. I hadn't heard from her in like years, but she was like, hey, I have an open spot in my room. Would you want to go to Holy Ship? Like, this is how much it would be. You can do a payment plan with me. Like, it's already paid for. Like, this is what, like, if you want to do it, like, it's yours. And I was like, you know what? Like, if you'll do a payment plan for me, like, I'm going. Like, I'm down.
So
like,
awesome.
Sounds good. And she didn't even charge me the full amount. I don't think she really cared. She was just like, I just need to fill the spot.
Yeah.
So that was probably a little bit more stressful, but I was just like, you know what? Let's just do it. Like, I've always wanted to go on Holy Ship. Like, might as well. And so I knew her, but didn't really know her. So her and I just like completely split off and just kind of did our own thing, which was kind of nice just because I could tell she wanted to go do whatever. And then like, if we happen to be at same sets, like cool. If not, didn't really matter. I think she's also just like a wanderer in general. So she had her own kind of plan of just doing whatever. And so, I knew groups of people, like I knew you there, and then I knew some other people there. And so I did actually meet, do you know Rachel lately?
I know her and we've never actually met, but it's funny because people are always telling me like her and I should be friends. They're like, you two like go do the same stuff, you know, this and that. But no, I haven't. I know who she is, but I've never actually like spoken to her.
She's really cool. So I actually met her on the plane ride over from Austin to, I think we flew in, we had a connecting flight, but we met at the connecting flight. Her and her friend, and then I met their whole friend group, which had some mutual friends of mine. And that was like a really cool experience because I met all of them and they were all so welcoming. And so they had like they had a crayon kind of totem. So I could always just like go up and say hi to them, which was really nice.
Yeah.
So I had my set artists that I wanted to see for sure, like Fisher.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
You love Chris Lake.
Slater.
Yeah.
Justin Martin. Like I had my for sure's, and then there was like those little hours where I didn't have anything and I would just go wander, which was really nice. But I got like a total of like 6 hours of sleep that whole weekend. Like
really?
I didn't miss out on anything. So I just
Where is this aid? I want to party with this one. The 6 hours of sleep aid for a weekend aid.
Yeah, I was crazy. I just let loose. I was like, you know what? Like, might as well. I can just sleep on the way back. Like, I slept at the airport.
That's the place to do it. I mean, and because that's another thing too, and that's what's so special. We could literally probably do a whole podcast just on Holy Ship. And I did Friendship this last time. And that was something too. I kind of went in and I was like, I don't know, this isn't Holy Ship. And I haven't heard, I mean, it's hear great things, but like literally within the first 10 minutes of walking in there, I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this. And then within like, you know, my friend's like, let's go. And she's the one that I met at Fire Festival. I go with her everywhere now. Like she's my ride or die. But we, you know, went, sat at the bar, and then from there, it was just a full on sprint and it was amazing. I was just the vibes too were different from like Holy Ship, where it was like these artists that, you know, that you had, and then they're just different artists. And so that I wasn't so stoked about the lineup on Friendship. But then when I got there, I was like, wow, this is perfect. Like everything, the music was great. People were great. It was just one of those things. It's just so special because for the people that have never been on these things and you're worried about like, how's it going to be, definitely prepare like not to sleep. We'd actually be on Friendship, I think like, right. Or Holy Ship right now, or Friendship, something. Yeah. But, you definitely plan not to sleep. And then you're with people that are all professional partiers. Like everyone knows, you know, who's like not there and knows really what they're doing. Just they're there for the first time, but then everyone else, it's just so nice. What's cool too, and you being a huge music fan, and you can attest to this because I saw some of your pictures, but like you're on the ship with the artists and with their managers, with people that tour with them, with their friends, with your friends, and you're all just mingling. And I'm sure there's the one-offs and there's like the crazy creepy people, but then if you're just, I remember like standing at the bar and Zoo's next to me like buying a Corona, and I'm like, oh, can I buy that for you? Like, just huge fan of yours, talk to him for a little bit. And then same kind of thing, had a really special moment with like Green Velvet and Black Madonna, which she changed her name, but just those types of situations. Like, and I know I saw pictures, you had one right with like Chris Lake and Fisher. So yeah, that looked like a pretty special moment for you.
Yeah, I was a pretty big Fisher fan. I still kind of am, but I was a pretty big Fisher fan. And so this was around the time he had like some video of him where he was like super high. And my friends took a screenshot of it and they got it printed on t-shirts for some event or something. And so I asked her if she could send me that photo and if I could get it printed and put on a t-shirt. And so I did that for the theme night, which was meme night. So yeah, for the ship, there's themes, so you can dress to the different themes. We had like an 80s night. I forgot what the first night was. But the last night was meme night.
Remember that.
So we, everyone had like different memes. And so I put Fisher on my shirt because it was basically like a meme for a little bit. And so the last night there was a Dirty Bird Takeover stage, and Fisher was the opening set for that night on that stage. Or I think there was an Ardalan was playing right before him. And so I was hanging out at Ardalan, and then Justin Martin walks by and like he sees my shirt. He's like, oh my gosh, you have to get Fisher to stop. He's coming like here soon because he's on next. And the way that stage is set up is that the artists have to go through the crowd.
Yeah.
Because it's on the deck. And so the artists have to go through the crowd to get to the stage. So I was like, okay, if I just place myself in the area, he's going to walk by.
Much space as I can.
All the friends and like people around us were like, okay, we're going to like get Fisher to stop and like say hi. Like, we have to do it.
Yeah.
And so then lo and behold, in comes Fisher, Chris Lake, AC Slater. And they see my shirt and they're like, oh my God. And like AC Slater is like, oh, give me your phone. Like, I'll take a photo. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Freaking out. It happened so fast. And then I turned to Chris Lake and I'm like, do you want to get in it too? And Chris Lake's like, oh, sure.
You're like,
and then AC Slater takes it, I think, on his phone. My friend Trent takes it on his phone. And then he's also like snapping photos just like as it goes. And so then we like hug each other, and then they go up on the stage. But Fisher was just like, oh my God, I love it. Like,
he's so awesome, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they were both super nice. It was kind of just like a surreal moment.
Yeah. That is so funny. That's
definitely one of
amazing.
my favorite like artist meeting stories for sure.
That's so amazing. Do you remember when he did that? Because in his Instagram's hilarious. Like, even the stuff that crazy. He's always posting. So we're talking about Fisher. Fisher is always posting like the craziest stuff. And he had like, in Chloe, like, I love his wife. Like, she's so freaking cool. And he had her, and they have those real thick Australian accents, but he had her doing something like with the moon. Like, she was trying to take like a photo.
Oh yeah.
Like this. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember, but it was just funny because he had her, he's like left, right, and was just screwing with her. It was like, yeah, left, a little bit more up. So she's doing this and the moon's like way over here, so he's just messing with her. And that was literally like the day before Coachella or something like that. And this was last year. And I went to a Coachella after party and show up like, and he was one of the artists that was like playing the after party. And we're there and he's standing right next to me. And I was like, hey, I was like, Fisher, I was like, it was like, love, like this whole, he's just like, oh yeah, Chloe, his big, thick accent. And so we ended up like, we took a picture too, like both doing this, it was just, yeah, like you said, those, I think with anything, they're just happy, like kind of like with us. Like, I think you, even too being a creator, like people freak out when they meet you. And, I've had people people freak out when they meet me and I'm like, what? Like, oh wow, someone's actually like watching. Like people see my stuff and they really like me. So have you had any kind of like fan interactions like that where people have come up to you and just felt some type of way?
Yeah, I've had a couple of people actually, which is so crazy to me because I just like, I kind of forget that there's other people on the other side. Like, I just feel like I'm talking to like a friend or something when I'm creating the content.
Same.
But I've had a couple people make me like the big candy perler bracelets, or necklaces.
What is that?
Logo. Like the bracelets that people trade at like Grace and stuff.
I know this because of you, because you've taught me about that.
Yeah. And so there's like perler bead designs that people can do, and like people have done my logo and like made it into like this big perler thing and then like put it on like a necklace and like I could wear it. They've done like these really big cuffs that I can put and stuff, and like it's really crazy. I also have like a PO box, so people send me stuff a lot of the time.
Oh my god,
which is really sweet. And then I also have people that like they're always like, I wanted to come up and say hi, but like I was too nervous to, and that always is like crazy to me. I'm just like, you can always come up and say hi, but it was at Electric Forest. Like I have a totem, which is like a big sign with like a pole with my logo on it, just so that like if people want to come up and say hi, it's also helpful just to have in a crowd for like,
it's great.
If someone goes to the bathroom, they'll be able to find where our group is. Like I've always had a totem with our big group because it's just easy.
Yeah, it's a great totem.
And so at Electric Forest, I actually had to put the totem away by like day 3 because it was like every 5 to 10 seconds or steps that we would take going through the venue and going through forest and stuff that I was getting stopped, which I was just like, so it was so crazy.
That's so cool.
I would say Electric Forest is like my big festival that I like go in on with the content because it's such a big undertaking to go to and it can be really intimidating for people.
Yeah.
And so that one's like a big one that a lot of people have found my content helpful for. And so that was like last year or 2019 where it was just constant. Getting stopped.
Yeah.
And so by day 3, I was like, I'm sorry, I have to put the totem away.
The totem is going away.
Festival at some point
Paparazzi is too much. So tell me about Electric Forest, because there's 2 festivals that were on my friend Nicole, that was like the one she really, really, really wanted to go to Electric Forest. And for me, I was like, I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's, I don't know. For me, there just wasn't, I needed some more like pushing. So how would you describe someone who hasn't been or is on the fence? Like if it's your favorite festival, like what do you love about it?
Oh, so much. There's just like
your face literally lights up.
The music,
really,
to me.
Okay.
Like the whole experience in itself and the community with it is just very welcoming. But yeah, so it's a 4-day music festival in Michigan. For those that don't know, it's typically at the end of June, and it is maybe about 7 to 8 stages, I want to say, but it's within this forest. It's usually called Sherwood Forest. You can even go to it right now. They have like a little setup without the stages and stuff, but you can go and see the forest at the Double JJ Ranch is what it's called. But yeah, it has EDM, but it also has jam bands, like jazz. It has all sorts of different genres, which I really like. And then there's the actual forest itself, which is just, there's lots to explore. Like I could walk that whole thing and still miss something.
Wow.
Which kind of draws the allure of it to people because there's different things and activities you can do. Like there's scavenger hunts, people leave stuff, and like there's little fairy doors at the bottom of these trees.
Oh my
and
God.
People will leave like little trinkets and stuff, and like there's characters, kind of like Disneyland has characters, but Electric Forest has its own characters that they kind of mess with festival goers, or it adds to the experience. It's like all part of the fun. And then there's scavenger hunts you can do. There's also secret like hidden bars or hidden like areas. Like last year or in 2019, one of our friends did a scavenger hunt and we were able to find this like poetry brothel
What?
And we were like
Oh
led behind this door and down this hallway, down this like slide.
What?
And we were in this like secret like poetry brothel basically. And we got led into this room and this woman read us poems and stuff. Like it was very cool. And there's like random stuff like that. And so I just like that there's just like so much to do outside of music. Like obviously I love the music and always they bring really great artists. But someone's even asked me, like, if I didn't have any artists I wanted to see, like, what would you do in Electric Forest? I was like, honestly, I would just go explore and just like bounce around from stage to stage. I would go hang out in the hangar because there's usually like random stuff going on in there. Like there's just so much to see. And I feel like it's a really good time. And then even after the festival's done, they do have RV sets. So you go to the RVs and you might even see like any of the artists on the lineup, like play a second set.
Wow.
So like Louis the Child played like a surprise set one year. Jaws does like surprise B2Bs and like stuff like that. And there's also artists that play every year or almost play every year. They're kind of like the forest, I don't know what the word is. I'm blanking on what the word is, but they're
like
routine
staples.
people that usually play. And so like there's String Cheese Incident, which I had never heard of before Forest, but like seeing them and they do like a whole Saturday shebang thing, like that's something to check out because a lot of people talk about it. Grizz plays a lot, Grammatic plays a lot, Bass Nectar used to play a lot. I don't know if that'll be the case anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely just become one of my favorites just because there's just so much to it. And there's also more kind of like a spiritual kind of stuff too that kind of gets you to think about certain things. Like they have the Brainery, which has like certain seminars. So like one year I learned about crystals and like stuff like that. And so that's within the campgrounds.
Wow.
So I think it's just like a lot more that meets the eye, and then just getting to explore the forest during the day and at night, it just really lights up. They have it all lit up with different lights and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. I can go on and on.
Well, you sold me. Okay, so Nicole, if you're watching this, I will go to Electric Forest with you when it happens. So thanks to Ade. So that's amazing. That sounds incredible. And I think you have such a unique perspective of that particular festival too, because you've been so much. And when you're open to new experiences, which is kind of a testament to you as well, you're open to seeing those things when you're not so like, if you're not being rigid and, you know, because there's those people too that don't want to, those are probably like the worst people to go. They just want to, you know, they have the routine. They like their things that, you know, they don't want to try anything different. And it's like, how are you even living, bro? Like that's not life. So what are you looking forward to the most this year?
Ooh. With VibeWithAde or just in general?
Let's do just in general. Like just looking forward to, and then let's do VibeWithAde. And then I want to know like what your dream festival is, if it's happening.
So looking forward to in real life, my main goal is to become more financially independent and find more financial freedom. So that's one of my big goals, is to get something going. I don't know if it'll be with VibeWithAde or it'll be something else that I'm currently working through and figuring out. But I really do want to figure out how to work for myself. It's just something I've always wanted to do. And looking up to you and Brooke has definitely been inspirational in that sense. I've always looked up to you guys, but seeing you guys start your own thing, I'm like, all right, I've been trying to figure out what exactly it is I want to do. So I think I'm finally figuring that out. So hopefully by the end of the year, I can say that I've launched something. So we'll see about that.
Awesome.
VibeWithAde, you know, we're just staying consistent is my goal, honestly. I've been able to I feel like I'm at a good point where like I have all the platforms I want to be on. I've kind of navigated all those things. So I really am just going to keep that kind of truck going along. I really want to batch content on the weekends so that I can just have more time to do more stuff and like explore other things. I think another thing that I know I just said I have all the platforms I like, but I think I'm going to start looking into Twitch. My boyfriend and I really just like, even if no one watches, like we really just want to do like our own little Friday night, like Twitch stream and DJing and stuff.
That's awesome.
So that's something we're going to start figuring out, but that's just like more like a passion, hobby, side project. It's going to be under VibeWithAde, I think, but we'll see about that. And then Dream Festival. Probably Tomorrowland comes to mind. That's like the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Amsterdam Dance Event is another one. Not a festival. I know people will come for me for this, but I would like to go to Burning Man. I understand it's not a music festival. It's an experience. It's a community. I've looked into it.
And people have run you through their coals. Yeah.
It, but that is definitely on my list to experience, is Burning Man. But those are like my top 3, I think, like dream festival or like experiences that I want to definitely get to eventually.
Well, yeah, you just named all of my 3 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those are the pinnacle to me. I mean, that's probably what I've watched the most of probably in quarantine is like Tomorrowland sets and Aid sets, you know, Aid going to Aid is going to be kind of it's like meant to be.
It's the vlog title. That's the vlog title.
Aid goes to Aid.
Aid goes to Aid.
Amsterdam Dance Event. And then same thing with Burning Man. It's so funny that you say that. It is number 1 for me. I've always kind of shunned it. I've had opportunities to go and I've always been like, I don't want to be dirty. You know, I just have like this thing with being dirty. But now that I think with all the hype and I've been doing so much with, and thank you too, to what you said about Brooke and I, you know, starting our business. It has definitely not been easy. It's freaking tough. And I left my stable 9 to 5, probably at the worst possible time, you know, but who knew? No one would have predicted this and it happened. And it definitely helps when you have like a co-pilot there with you, you know, that's kind of navigating the storm. It's really difficult to do. I know I couldn't have done it by myself. Hands down. So having her there, we've definitely been a support system for each other. But it's funny that even with all like the business going on, and you mentioned, you know, with it being such a spiritual festival, I feel like I've been so like introspective with everything that I'm doing now, more so than ever. Like I always thought I'm pretty like in tune with myself, but it's like now that I'm finding out more and more, thank you, mushrooms. Mushrooms are a truth serum for your life. It's amazing. And not like going crazy, y'all, but yes, I do mushrooms and they're fun in the sense that if you do them in the right capacity and you're in the right state, maybe you're not in the right state. They just, you know, they grow from the earth, and the things that I've been able to kind of unblock or kind of come out from those different trips recently that I've had have been like, whoa, I've got some work to do on myself. And so I feel like that would be another place that it's like, okay, I want to go. And I love how people are even like, even if you go thinking you've got a handle on your stuff, like you really don't. And it tests you and it drives you. So I'm actually going to have Emily, M the Funk. So I'm excited to talk to her. That's like both of ours, like
fangirl.
Yeah, both of us. So I'm excited to have her and queen. Talk all the things Burning Man. And she's the one who originally got me into this. Like that, same. I saw her and was like obsessed with her content. And so, yeah, I'm excited to actually like talk to her and have those conversations. I just saw her briefly at Coachella and was like, hey, you know, I saw her and I was like, I have to go meet her. Like, this is my person that I want to go like fangirl over. So I'm excited to have her on. But yeah, it's great. I think with everything that you're doing, and I mean, I hope that you can stop sometimes and just like sit in your greatness and your success, because you are killing it. You're absolutely amazing. I absolutely adore you. Thank you for being here. I could talk to you for 5 hours. I feel like we need to do that. This is part 1, y'all, because her and I need to talk about so many different things we could talk about, but just even having this has brought so much oxytocin to my brain, and talking about festivals and kind of reliving these stories that we've had and these experiences just kind of goes to show like how important that piece of our lives it, it is for you and me. So I hope, in the future when things are not so cray cray, we'll be able to reunite on the dance floor, some form of fashion. Music unites us all. And I hope to collab with you. It's funny you mentioned Twitch. So Steve and I are starting a Sunday night Twitch stream.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Where we're just going to chill. And it's kind of that. We just are going to hang out and, you have to come over. You and Chase need to come over and hang out. We'll all get tested. We'll have a nice COVID-free, under 10 person, small social gathering. Did I say everything? But yeah, you got to see and then he's got like DJ decks and I just kind of sit there and chill.
Yes.
So we're going to do kind of like, I'm on a mic and just going to have my wine. I was doing sober January, but it comes a time where, and so he was making fun of me earlier. I've been doing sober January since New Year's Day. So, if it's sober half mid-January, that's fine too. The intention's there, right? So awesome. Well, thank you. I look forward to seeing everything. If I can support you in any way, please reach out. How can people find you on all of these channels?
So my blog is VibeWithAde.com, and then you can find me on YouTube, VibeWithAde, youtube.com/VibeWithAde. And then I'm on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I think those are the main three. At VibeWithAde, which is VibeWithAde.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and I will see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye.